We're here with Steve Delia and Rodger Lowenthal, and this is the 1st of September 2017, and we're interviewing Rodger Lowenthal, the poet.
Rodger, you're going to be on the hot seat for a few minutes.
My behind is already burning.
All right, so we'll go to the beginning, Rodger. When did you start writing poetry and why?
I started when I was in college, when I was a freshman. I'm not sure why. I had a friend who read me a poem, very bright guy, Swarthmore College and so on. And I didn't really understand the poem, but I liked the idea of writing poetry. So I went home and I wrote a poem. I said, okay, that's not bad. I guess one of the first things I ever wrote was about my grandfather's funeral when I was 9 years old. I wrote a little in college. You've seen my stream of consciousness thing, where, breaking up with my first girlfriend, and then on and off. I wrote, I guess, in the middle 70s about another woman that I was involved with, and mostly in the last 15 years, hundreds of poems.
Do you think that most poets start out writing about emotional events like that, like the death of a loved one or the breakup of a girlfriend?
To be any good, you have to write about what you know, what's familiar. My grandfather died. He was running to catch a trolley in Center City, had a heart attack, and that was that. He was 63 years old. And I used to go to their house. They lived 3 blocks from where I lived. And on Friday nights, we would watch the fights, and we would flip baseball cards, and it was nice. And I remember in Saturday morning when he was drinking his coffee, he always had one of these, inexpensive coffee mugs. But he'd come back from the funeral, and then the best dishes are out, and the fine china and so on. And that's what the poem was about. You drank from this, and then when you die, they give you all the people come and, they get the good stuff. So, I don't know. Now I write, about some current events like our wonderful president, but other things too. 9/11 I wrote about a little bit. A lot of love poems. Take that for what it's worth. Because my wife, not another one. When do you run out of things to say? So fortunately I haven't. But I try and put humor in my poems when I can. And I think that's important. It's art. It's got to be serious, but humor is serious too. You see the way Mike writes. He's seriously funny, seriously humorous, however you want to put it.
Just don't take it too seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously warped?
It's okay too. You're entitled to your perspective. It's difficult to write about something serious and be humorous at the same time. So to find a light touch, and maybe that's just a play on words. The humor comes from, 1 or 2 words, a lightness. And that's me. I'll make bad jokes, but that's, you like it or you don't like it.
At what point when you were writing did you start to really kind of catch on or understand exactly what you were doing? Because I think for a lot of us, and for myself for sure, I was writing for a long time and not really knowing what I was doing. And I think that's probably true for most poets. Was it like that for you?
I don't know what that means, not knowing what you were doing. Maybe it means that before you write good poetry, you have to write bad poetry. You have to get the mediocre work out of your system. And then you'll realize, well, this really wasn't so good, but I made a couple changes, it got better. And now, at 76 years old, I think I'm writing better than ever. It took me a long time, even if you just go back 15 years and what I was writing then, up till the present day. There's growth. I mean, I see it. You can see it when, you know, we sit at the daily grind. You can see differences. When I'm in Chris Bursk's group and I get his comments on my work and some of the other people, I'm very flattered because the few times that we've had a critique session, there's nothing to critique about what I submitted. Now, maybe I was being extra careful about what I passed out to the group, but I don't really think that matters. If they say, Chris will say, this is the best thing you ever wrote. Okay, it's about time. You know? All these years, there I am. And you know, I'm confident that what I write is better than what I have written in the past. So that gives me confidence. I want to keep doing it. The poem I'm going to bring this afternoon to the Daily Grind, it has an epigram. And you know that I love to do that, to take a line from another poet and use it as a starting point. And I think it's just, it's a great way because I'm stimulated by someone else. And I like that idea. I don't have to sit in my bedroom or my office or wherever and what can I write today? What can I write? But there it is. So I write these down, and I have a poem or two here that, you know, we can talk about. But you know, that's what makes me go. Reading poetry means that I will be writing poetry.
You've been using epigrams. Is that something that you've recently just started doing, or did you always do that?
I've done it, not always, but certainly in the last 5, 8, 10 years, because I've been reading more poetry, or even taking lines from an interview on TV or something from a movie that I think is interesting, you know, that I can build around, expand on. And sometimes it doesn't work. You know, I write the line down and then it'll stay there because I like the line, but I can't really do anything with it. I don't force it.
You've got some poems there. Maybe you'd like to read us one?
Okay, this, what you could call an early poem, goes back to 1974, late, early 75. And this takes place in Summit Valley, California, which is in Northern California, on what was the Smith River. I was with this woman and some other people, her friends, and we were camping out at the point of where two creeks met, and it was just, you know, lovely scenery, and all you could hear in the daytime was the chainsaws, and you couldn't figure out where the trees were that were being cut, but you could hear the chainsaws. So one day we got into a pickup truck and went to this place, Summit Valley. Harry says the smoke is rising straight. You will have a good trip. We 6 climb into the truck that rides the highway next to the river, narrowed to one lane where spring slides frolic down. Huge gashes trickle in the sun, awaiting new November rain. Off the main road, using the 4-wheel drive until the road ends just short of the summit. We start across a ridge, past wildflowers holding to an ancient season. Rusty fragrances scratch the air. Resting at a still pool to drink sweet water seeped up from an unknown depth. Descend finally to the valley, dry lake of deep grasses. to lunch around the three-sided hunter shelter. Yeasty fatigue coaxes aimless exploratory crisscross, seeking a shaded place on the lake perimeter. We disengage from the others, drawn by sunscroll through dead bleached trees. Ticking chaos slows.